I sacrificed my happiness for my family's peace, but was I ever truly a part of it? The greatest cruelty of a sacrifice is realizing that what you saved was never truly yours to begin with. I'm Caleb, 42, and for the last 7 years, I have lived a life of quiet, crushing regret. I surrendered my one, true dream, my only shot at happiness, to ensure my family had perfect peace. Now I have to ask, was I ever truly a part of the peace I bought with my soul? When I was younger, I thought success was a formula. You got the degree, you married the right person, you climbed the ladder, and then happiness automatically unlocked. By 35, I had completed every step. I was a senior project manager for a massive utility company, pulling in a 6-figure salary. My wife, Sarah, 40, was a brilliant lawyer who had scaled back her career to manage our perfect suburban life. We had 2 incredible kids, Ethan, 15, already showing promise as a future architect, and Anya, 12, a wild, creative soul who loved horses and nature. We lived in a massive house in a cul-de-sac where the biggest noise was the sound of lawnmowers. Our life was stable, beautiful, and utterly predictable. Everything was fine, yet underneath the surface, I felt a deep, profound misalignment. My job didn't fulfill me, it simply funded the machine. Every day was a cycle of budgeting, meetings, and compromise, none of which had anything to do with my true passion, environmental engineering and conservation. My secret dream, the thing I talked about late at night with Sarah before the weight of bills quieted us, was to work in the field. To get my hands dirty, to build sustainable solutions, to actually matter outside the quarterly reports. I always knew that a stable income was the price of our suburban comfort, but I truly believed one day I'd transition, and they would celebrate the real me. The moment of truth arrived 5 years ago. I was 37, I received a confidential email from a former professor, an absolute legend in the field. He was launching a groundbreaking, multi-year conservation project in Patagonia. It was a massive undertaking, part engineering, part field research. The perfect blend of everything I was trained to do and everything I longed to be. The email wasn't just an offer, it was a plea. He needed a director, someone with my specific managerial and engineering skills, but with a heart for conservation. The pay was a fraction of my corporate salary, but the opportunity. It was the definition of my life's purpose. It was my only, and likely last, chance to leave the safe path and dive into the life I was meant to live. I remember holding the printout of the offer, my hands shaking with a mixture of terror and intoxicating excitement. I walked through my quiet, perfect house, seeing it through new eyes. It wasn't a home, it was a gilded cage, paid for by the compromise of my soul. I sat Sarah down that evening, trying to convey the enormity of the opportunity, the profound calling. I laid out the financial reality. We'd have to sell the house, downsize significantly, and move the kids, pulling Ethan out right before his high school career began. I expected skepticism, maybe even a fight. What I got was silent, unified resistance. Sarah looked at the Patagonia offer like it was a ransom note. She didn't see purpose, she saw reckless instability. She spoke with a cold, clear logic that cut through my excitement. She reminded me of Ethan's need for stability right before high school, how Anya's anxiety was just stabilizing with her current school environment, and how our entire social and financial structure depended on my paycheck. We bought this piece, Caleb, she said, her voice trembling not with anger, but with fear. You can't take it away because you've suddenly decided you're bored. This isn't about your fulfillment, it's about the security of our family. This move is selfish. The children mirrored her panic. Ethan was devastated at the thought of leaving his friends and his college prep track. Anya started having recurring night terrors, terrified of moving to a place she couldn't even pronounce. Their peace, which I had dedicated my corporate life to building, was immediately threatened, and I was the cause. The truth was, I hadn't just been funding their life, I had been funding their identity. They were the kids of the successful executive, living in the big house, attending the best schools. They didn't just need the money, they needed the image of stability that my job provided. And my dream, my authentic self, was a direct, existential threat to that carefully constructed reality. I realized then that the sacrifice wasn't just about money, it was about sacrificing my identity so theirs could flourish. I was the foundation upon which their peaceful, beautiful lives were built. If I removed the foundation, the entire structure would collapse, and they would never forgive me. If your single greatest chance at true happiness threatened the stability and mental well-being of your children, would you bury your dream forever? I withdrew my application. I sent the professor a brief, painful email explaining I couldn't accept due to unforeseen personal obligations. I watched the cursor blink over the final sentence, realizing I was signing the death warrant for the man I used to be. The moment the email sent, the excitement drained out of me, replaced by a vacuum of nothingness. 5 years passed. I am 42 now. We are still in the house. My career is higher than ever, my salary astronomical. Ethan is excelling in AP classes and driving his own car. Anya is thriving, completely stable, and planning for equestrian camp. Sarah is happier, less stressed, and her social life is vibrant. Their peace is undeniable. I succeeded, but the success is suffocating. I look at my family across the dinner table, talking about school schedules, friend drama, and college applications, and I realize I'm the ghost in the machine. I provide the power, the resources, and the stability, but I am utterly excluded from their emotional core. I am the topic of conversation only when they need something. Dad, can you sign this form? Dad, did you remember to pay the property taxes? Dad, can you finance this new camera? They never ask about my day. They don't inquire about the intricate, soul-destroying political maneuvering at my job. They don't need my passions, they need my position. The peace I bought for them is a kind of emotional containment field, and I am standing outside of it, maintaining the barrier. I am essential to their contentment, but my presence as an individual is irrelevant. I am the high-income resource, not the emotional participant. One Saturday afternoon, I walked into the living room and found them all completely absorbed. Sarah and Anya were laughing hysterically at a movie, curled up together on the sectional. Ethan was on the floor, deeply focused on a design sketch, music playing softly in his headphones. They were connected, a tight, warm unit, radiating the happiness I sacrificed everything to protect. I stood there for a full minute, holding a stack of papers related to my job, and not one of them looked up. They didn't need me, they only needed the things I provided. Their peace was complete, and ironically, my sacrifice made me utterly redundant in their presence. The moment was agonizingly clear. I wasn't sacrificing my happiness for my family, I was sacrificing my happiness to fund a family that only existed in a bubble of financial security, a bubble that didn't have space for the authentic me. I was the financial architect of their contentment, but I was not a member of the family unit itself. I was their anchor, but anchors remain outside the ship. I still wake up at 4 a.m. sometimes, thinking about the Patagonian wind, the smell of damp earth, and the feeling of actual purpose. It's a phantom limb I'll ache for until I die. I have everything that society defines as success, yet I am profoundly lonely. My sacrifice worked perfectly, my family is whole, stable, and happy. But the question remains, raw and crushing. I sacrificed my happiness for my family's peace, but was I ever truly a part of it? The answer is in the silence when I walk into the room. The irony is that the moment I chose their comfort over my dream, I made myself expendable as a human being and necessary only as an income source. I preserved their life, but I destroyed mine. If you realized that your greatest sacrifice made you essential but emotionally invisible to the people you loved most, would you have still walked away from your dream? This is the price of their peace. I want to know what you think. Let me know your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.